Well, good morning, everybody. Jeff Slakey and Spencer Hughes here on the Daybreak Show via Zoom video conference, catching up with Homes First. It's Trudy Soucoup. Good morning, Trudy. How you doing?
Very good, Jeff. Thanks for having me on this morning.
Well, it's good to talk with you. Good to catch up with you. The last time we saw each other was at the nonprofit gathering at the governor's mansion. And that was an exciting time there to learn a little bit more about all the nonprofits in the state.
Oh, right.
Remember that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. It was. So I'm on the board of the Washington nonprofits who hosted that. So yeah, I'd forgotten. I actually thought the last time we saw each other was at the Mason County Housing Forum.
Oh yeah,
that Peninsula Credit Union did, but
at the Alderbrook. That was a great conversation as well. For folks who are just learning a little bit more about Homes First today, give us an overview of the program.
So Homes First is a rental housing provider. This is actually our 30th anniversary year, so we've been doing it for a long time. We started doing some housing in Mason County in 2016. So what we do is we buy houses and then we rehab them and then we rent them out to people. And we never sell houses. These are permanently affordable rental homes in your community. And right now in Mason County, we have a duplex with two disabled veteran-led families. And then we also have a single family home that we're working with the Mason County Therapeutic Courts. So they have a place for people to go through their program and not have to be in jail. They can actually be in a home setting and have better chance to reacclimatize to their community.
Explain to me the benefits of the folks who utilize Homes First having that set rental monthly rent. I know that rents go up annually. Some folks will say 2-3% every year, and that can be a real struggle for folks who may not know where their next paychecks are coming. What's it been like to have that as the option for folks?
Right, so that makes a huge difference for them. So for us, we set all our rent rates according to the Department of Housing and Urban Development. So they tell us, this is how much a person in Mason County with a single wage can afford, or two wages or whatever, if they're making 50% of the area median income or 30% of the area median income. And then they tell us when we can actually put the rent up. So we don't, most landlords say, hey, my costs are going up, so I'm going to put the rent up.
Yeah.
Right? For us, we actually base our rent on what our tenants can afford. And the federal government tells us that. They do all the research, right? We don't have to do it, and they tell us what that is.
Do you happen to have those
numbers? And so that means that they have stability.
Of the 50% threshold or the 30%? Do you know what those numbers are in Mason County?
I cannot tell you that. So I'm the CEO, excuse me, I'm the CEO of the organization, and I have a property manager who manages all of that because I'm doing other things like having interviews with you.
Sure.
So he is the guy who knows down to the finest detail of what that is. I should have been better prepared.
No worries. No problem here.
But what that does is it really, it gives our tenants stability and predictability in their lives so that they know that they're just not going to arbitrarily one year, their rent's going to go up by $200 a month. So they can plan their lives and be more successful, really, and have more hope for a better life because they know that their rent will always be affordable for them.
So just a few years, 4 years or so in Mason County, but I feel like I've seen you around a lot longer than that in the area, kind of talking with a lot of the stakeholders and explaining some of the needs for Mason County. How have things thus far been working in the other areas that you serve? And what was the response like when you first came into Mason?
I think there's always a little bit of suspicion everywhere, anytime we're going into a new area, because it's such an unusual model. Even though we've been doing it for 30 years, it's unusual. Mostly communities focus on building new housing, but we've taken a different tact. We do scattered sites, so no one neighborhood has to have all of the affordable housing, because there's a lot of stigma around affordable housing, whether that's legitimate or not. There is stigma around it. So yeah, so it took some time. You know, that we were actually invited by another group in Mason County to come in and talk to the county about it. And there's some bumps every time you go into a new community, but I think we're on a good track now. And what we really want to do is do more of it in Mason County, because there is a huge need. But one of the barriers for us to do that is finding other organizations who have the capacity to serve the needs of the tenants once they're in housing, because we don't actually do social service. We provide housing. So usually, like in Thurston County, we have so many partners that we work with. So we work with providers of adults with developmental disability services. We work with Oxford has clean and sober living services. We work with community youth services, so many different organizations. So if we have a tenant who has a need for services, the other nonprofit or the other, sometimes it's a for-profit, provides that support for them. And it's actually really beneficial, because what it means is that we just focus on what we're good at, which is being a great landlord and taking care of those properties. And our partners focus on what they're really good at, which is providing the structure for the tenants, the service for the tenants, for them to be successful. So that's a challenge for Mason County, to get enough service providers who have the capacity to do that kind of work. So I'm always, you know, you can talk to your county folks. I'm always telling them, if you want to do something to support housing, also you have to do things to support your social service nonprofits, to make them successful and have the strength to be able to serve more people.
You have the rare opportunity for someone in the community to potentially join your board to help out with some of these things in Mason County. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So we're actively looking for some new board members right now. We have the capacity to have 15 board members, and right now we have 10, so we have some spaces available. We would really love to have at least a single board member, maybe a couple of board members from Mason County, because I think that it's really important that we represent all our communities that we serve. So one of the things that we do is that we make sure that at least 1/3 of our board members actually represent our low income community. So if there's someone who has a lower income in Mason County and would like to come on our board and say, hey, this is what low income people need in Mason County, that would be awesome. We're looking for people who have maybe some fundraising experience, who could help guide how do we raise more money for Mason County to do more work. People who are interested in social media, maybe people who have grassroots connections in Mason County. We would love to have them join our board of directors to help guide our future, our next 30 years, right?
Homesfirst.org is the website, and there are ways that you can volunteer, find out ways to help, and just learn more about the services that Homes First provides. They are on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram as well. We'll put the links to this when we post this in the show notes, but a great organization that's been going on for helping out the community for 30 years and in Mason County since 2016. Trudy's the CEO, and it's been a good time talking with you this morning. Good to catch up with you and to know that everything's good for you.
Yes.
And everything's healthy and safe. And let's hook up again later, a couple months down the road, and see how things are working for Mason County.
That would be awesome, Jeff. Thanks again so much for having me on.